Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and folks, we've got quite a show today. All sorts of things have been happening, and I'll just say to you, between the media and the journalism and the smartphones and this, that, and the other, I mean, you can really get bogged down in. But that's one thing about here in the Oregon Voters Digest. We're focusing on issues that are relative to who we are and where we live. Okay, I'm talking about here in Oregon, and more specifically in Portland, Oregon. But we can talk about it, but whenever we go outside of Portland, it always, what is it? Its impact here in the city of Portland in our lives. And I want to make sure we bring that point up to you like now, because we are getting into some pretty heavy areas at this point in time. And one of the main areas that we're really looking at is that of the summer that's going to be, that we're right up on at this point in time. Summer and here in the Portland metropolitan area, I mean, we got protesting issues, we got police, we got a number of things, we got city council, we got all kinds of weird things. But the bottom line is that that's what we're going to be hitting on pretty hard here right before the summer, to see if we can solve some of these problems before we get right into the summer. Because otherwise, we're going to be right back where we were last summer. All sorts of protesting and all kinds of issues that were unsolvable, that are unsolvable today. And so I thought maybe I'd bring in someone who's been around. He has his own business, but he's in a special area as far as his business that really takes him around all over the city and the county for that matter. And the gentleman's name is Fred Stewart. He has his own real estate company, so that makes it advantageous to us to kind of get a sense of what's on his mind. So we're going to have discussions across the board. And there are many areas where he's very familiar with it. He's an avid member on Facebook, and he's constantly there. He's there. So I want you to know he's been here before, but the fact of the matter is that he's very knowledgeable, and those are the things that we talk about. We're going to be here with you for an hour with Fred. We're going to be talking with him and just getting in and out, and this, that, and the other. Okay.
Oh my God, a whole hour.
Fred, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. There's Fred right there. And Fred, why don't you just briefly give a little background quickly on yourself for the new viewing audience now, because we are going to share this information now. Definitely going to share this information to the entire city, and in fact outside of the city and outside of the state. Okay, go on, Fred. And you are?
Well, my name is Fred Stewart. I'm a real estate broker. I've been in real estate or banking for the last 32 years in Portland, Oregon, coming up on 33 years. And I've run for office, operated a real estate company, operated a bar, couple of bars, getting ready to start an escrow and title company, Vanport Escrow and Title, first Black-owned escrow and title company in Oregon history. And just somebody who's been around Portland. My family traces its heritage in Oregon back to 1935. So there's been a member of my family out here for many years.
You didn't know that you didn't make the point about the fact you are a Marine, right? I mean, I can't see your cover. I can't see your cover. You better pull back your
Isn't it obvious? I mean, we got that Marine way we look, that Marine way we sound.
Okay. Pull your screen back, Fred, a little bit on you so we can see your head. There you go. Just get back. There you go. We're in good shape. Sounds great. Okay, good. Well, look, why don't we just jump right into this peace aspect of it? Protesting has been a major item here in this city, and for quite some time. In most cases, it was pretty well focused in downtown, but we're really talking about the entire city. It's been protesting all over. But let's just start off with the whole issue of the city, because it's kind of like the downtown living room, if you will, here for our city and for this state. And people are very concerned about the downtown issue and i.e. the solution for that problem. So from your perspective, I mean, you've been around, you've driven in that area, you've seen this, that, and the other, you've had many discussions on Facebook and other venues, streaming venues that you have access to and whatever. Well, what's your thought about that?
Well, I mean, the protesting is a mixed bag. I mean, I feel very good that so many people want to see change. And I'm very happy about the people that go out there peacefully and march and are demanding that the people that lead us be a major part of that change. And also sending the message out to people that the old days and the old ways are changing. What I don't like is the violence and the destruction. I mean, that we've got to stop. And we've got to stop those people, because I don't think those people are down there because they're marching because they're trying to make the world a better place. They're marching down there because they're criminals and other bad people, and they're taking advantage of the opportunity. You know, they're marching against police brutality. So what better time to commit a crime when you feel politically and culturally the police are, you know, at a disadvantage if you're a criminal. If you want to destroy property or beat people up or rape somebody, if you want to do anything, you know, wait till there's a peaceful protest and go down there and do what you want to do just for kicks and giggles. You know what I mean? So we've got to stop that part. We got to keep, you know, focusing on nonviolent approach. When it comes to protesting, we've got to protect people out there. We've had people who've gone down to our protest, you know, peacefully. They're not doing anything, and they become collateral damage. You know what I mean? They become injured because of either something the violent protesters do or something the police are doing to protect the community. And that's got to stop. That literally has to stop. And if we don't stop it, well, let's just say already we're seeing a diminishing effect that protesting is having in general in Portland. Can't speak for the whole world or the whole country, but I know in Portland that I hear more frustration about protest and what they're protesting about. They've now become the focus of the issue, and not they're no longer just protesting the issue, they are the issue. You know, and that's wrong. And then the other thing is this. We're in a bad state in this city. We're probably the most unsafe we've been maybe ever, at least 100 years. We've had a lot of cops leave, and maybe some of them needed to go. I don't know. But I do know this. When those protesters are out doing what they like to do, I'm talking about the violent ones, the ones that like to destroy, they are taking those cops away, the few cops we got left, from protecting the people of this community, the people of our city. They're literally telling child molesters and men that like to rape women, go for it. Get my meaning? Because who's going to come and answer that call? You need to get a guy's trying to break into your house, trying to rape you. Well, if that cop is busy downtown dealing with some punk who wants to break out a window of some hotel or some office building or something, well, there's no cops going to come and protect you. And trust me, the real criminals in our community, the real vile people, they're paying attention. Just look at our increased murder rate, our increased level of violence. They understand that they've got wide open spaces right now. And that's all these protests are doing, making us less safe. So we need to cut it out. And if we are going to have protests, they need to be peaceful. We need to have the least amount of cops necessary to cover these things, because we need police officers protecting our community, protecting, you know, the old folks, the children, you know, the people who need protection. So, no, these protests, like I said, Bruce, there's time for them to come to an end.
Okay. Well, tell me this. Now let's go back to some of the point at the front end of your statement. What about, you know, a lot of times people tend to hide behind the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Let's talk a little bit about that piece. You know, I mean, I've heard people on Laura's show and this, that, and the other, but I hear a lot of protesters, you know, freedom of speech, and then the ACLU gets involved in the deal and says, well, hey, they have a right, this, that, and the other, and you know, but again, we were talking about downtown, but freedom of speech. What do you think about that First Amendment?
Hey, I'm a Marine just like you. I mean, I believe in the freedom of speech, and I'm not against people protesting as long as it's peaceful. I'm not against people protesting as long as it doesn't put the community at large at risk. That's what's going on right now. And nobody has the freedom to do that. Okay. No one has the freedom to put my family and people I care about under threat. Okay. I joined the Marines because I wanted to go around the world and kill people who put my family and friends under threat. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay? So why should I tolerate somebody who does that here? Mm-hmm. Why should a person who's going to put my family and friends under direct threat, why should I tolerate their life?
Okay.
Why should any of us?
Right. Now, another point I'm throwing out on the table is, again, downtown aspect of it. It's always at night. I mean, do you think it would be better off? We could be better off, in fact, that we didn't have protesting, allow protesting or marching at night, if you will, downtown, anywhere in the city, for that
You
matter.
know, to me, it doesn't matter when people protest. I mean, of course, it would be they do it at night. I think in some way they feel maybe there's some advantages tactically, but they may be just trying to stay out of the way of the average working man and woman. I don't know why they do it at night. All I know is this, and I really don't care when people protest, as long as it's not invasive to the average citizen. As long as people aren't put under threat, as long as people aren't having their livelihoods destroyed or their homes destroyed or their cars destroyed, you know, things like that. And that's what's happening right now. Now, I'm not saying everybody who goes down and protests does this. I'm saying there are people who are taking advantage of this opportunity. And, you know, the people who are actually down there protesting, they need to police themselves. They need to cooperate with the police when they see somebody who's, you know, not acting appropriately during a protest. People need to snitch on these people. We need to see more of their faces on the internet. We need to know their addresses and, you know, who they're married to and who they have sex with. We need to know a lot about these violent protesters, people who go down, you know, and destroy public property and private property for no reason other than, you know, giggles and fun.
Well, some of the policemen that I've talked with have said that if they didn't protest at night, that would really help them out a bit in terms of identifying some of these people. And he's also saying that there was more danger at night because of the darkness, if you will. You got me? And then they're already wearing masks.
Well, there's issues whether they protest day or night. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with
I understand it, but I'm just saying.
They know what they're doing.
Okay, so you said that. So you said, well, it wouldn't matter whether it be day or night routine. I mean,
I really don't care as long as nobody's getting hurt, as long as there's no property damage. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, this has got to end. These guys are literally making it impossible. There's a business that's, I'm not going to mention their names because they still haven't given up yet, but they got 30 employees and they're looking for a new place to move their business because they don't have insurance of any kind right now to open up in downtown Portland. So they may have to move to another state like Vancouver. You know what I mean? And they may have to move across the river. You understand? To find an affordable spot to put their business. A business has been in downtown Portland for many years. And that's because nobody wants to insure them because of their location. You understand? Their location.
Well, they're paying out the bucks now. Come on now. You're very familiar with payments, if you will, yourself. But bottom line, if you're an insurance company and all of a sudden you putting out maybe $10 or $20 or $100,000 every time there's a hit. And it's every Friday night, you know what I mean? If not every night.
Yeah, but it goes even deeper than that. The litigation. I mean, you got people being sued over.
Oh yeah, it's big money.
You know, glass that was broken by someone else, and then somebody stepped on it, and they didn't clean it up good enough. I mean, you know how it is. Once you get into this quagmire of litigation, you know what I mean? I mean, I got all these so-called smart, liberal white dudes, you know, college educated and stuff, privileged and stuff. Going, well, you know, there's insurance companies. They handle this. It's well covered. Well, yeah, it is. But how much is that costing, and how much does that raise premiums, and how does that change how they underwrite policies for that area? We're on a year now of intense protesting. We've had 10 years of direct protesting. Don't you think there's a cost to that? And who's paying that cost? Yeah, the insurance company pays the end result, but who's paying the premiums? And those same white, educated, privileged, wealthy, middle-class folks, they're still also demanding that there is minimum wage. We need to raise the minimum wage. Yeah, raising the minimum wage. How's a guy in downtown Portland who has seen his insurance premiums, if he can get an insurance policy, go up 30, 40, 50%, sometimes a lot more than that. And then on top of that, they want him to pay increased minimum wage downtown. No, it's cheaper to get the hell out of Portland, or better yet, just shut down.
Wow. Wow. Well,
I mean, if you've got a business and you're only paying yourself, you know, let's say $250,000 a year off of, let's say, $10 million worth of business, you're only paying yourself $200,000 a year. But if your costs have gone up 150,000 because, people are protesting, and because there's a, minimum wage increase, why be in business? Who's going to work 60 hours a week for $50,000 a year? You can go get a job and do that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to own a business and work like that, not indefinitely, not forever. So no. These and what I hate, it's usually the most privileged of the white people that are protesting and causing the damage, that are so, egalitarian about this. Oh, the insurance companies will just pay it. Yeah, shows how smart they are. Really does. They better not date any women in my family, because there's some abuse coming if they do.
Hey, Fred. Okay. All right. So the protesting, right? Okay. So we've covered. What about neighborhood protesting?
Well, that's bad too. I mean, people should always be safe in their homes. They really should. And we've had some situations over this last year where people have not felt safe, very unsafe, especially the older people. And I understand that, people are trying to, push change. And if it's peaceful, I'm all for it, but nothing threatening. These stories I'm hearing from people who've actually suffered it. I'm not talking about from these reporters who lie all the time. I'm talking about people who've actually experienced some of the things people have gone through. Is just not right. It's just not right. But, protesting in itself is always great. We don't want a society where people are afraid or encumbered from speaking out. But nobody needs to feel like they're under threat. You understand? Nobody needs to feel like my life is in danger. No, not in this country.
But the idea is, what are the solutions? But what are the solutions? What are the solutions? As you say, have a positive, peaceful protesting. I mean, everybody.
What always surprised me is part of the solution is the people that we vote for have not been reactionary enough and provided any signs, clear, direct signs that they're paying attention other than lip service. We haven't seen any major policies that have addressed these issues, and even the ones that they've tried. I mean, this police commission thing just cracks me up. Voters voted for it. How come, the mayor and everybody else didn't say, we're going to have this thing in 30 days. We're going to work 12 hours a day till we get this thing in. Instead, there's still all this hullabaloo, dragging it out. And all that does is cause more incrimination in the community. They should have had this thing done already. But even before then, taking steps, direct steps, and I'm not talking about that BS step to get rid of the gang enforcement team or whatever you call it, the gun violence team you want to call it. That was BS. I mean, the white people only did that because they knew a bunch of black people would be killed. I mean, if you're a liberal, racist white person, former skinhead, and you're in the room when you're having that discussion of all the things you can do, hey, let's get rid of the gun team because then them black folks are going to kill each other more often. You know what I mean? That's one way to solve the violence in this community. Let's increase the gang members shooting each other. Eventually they'll run out of black folks and we'll run out of violence. The violence will drop, the more young black people are killed. No, that wasn't a good direction to go. What they should have done is done something. They should have listened to the people who were protesting and figured out what's the one thing they could have done that would have kept us all safe, that would not have increased hostilities, but would have shown an affirmative acceptance of a new direction in our law enforcement. That's what people are looking for.
Well, everybody's asking the question, what are you talking about? What that solution that you just made mention, what specifically is that solution?
Well, there's a lot of it. The mayor could have done a lot of things. The governor could have done a lot of things. You start off with, the mayor could have said, look, we're going to ask the attorney general of Oregon to handle all, shootings for the Portland police. Put together their own statewide team of investigators and see if the governor and this legislature would endorse it. You know what I'm talking about? So every time there's a shooting, the people who are investigating the shooting isn't from the jurisdiction where it occurred. Something along those lines. They could have started with that. They could have put together a statewide group of professionals and civilians, community people to handle all shootings for law enforcement either in the Portland metro area or the entire state. The bottom line is people don't trust local law enforcement to investigate itself when it comes to shootings. So accept that. Give the people what they want. I mean, Bruce, I don't know every solution. I'm just throwing out ideas.
Well, let me throw something out. Like I said, we're having a good discussion here. I'm just going to throw out some of the things that, as you know, I ran for mayor a couple of times as it is in the past, and some of the things I had for solution were things like what we just talked about. That I'd say I would not allow any protesting at night, if you will, depending upon the area. Okay, that was we talked a little bit about that. But the other one was that we did have a permit process kind of a deal where a person would be responsible, and also I'd asked about the fact that they would have to be bonded. So
Bruce,
what do you think about a permit
that'd be very
process?
difficult because people use that permit way to keep the civil rights marchers from marching.
Well, why not? I just mean that you just sign up. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I hear you, Bruce, but that could be abused by the people we vote for. You don't want people to. I mean, you're talking about telling people who want to speak truth to power, who want to protest their feelings. Then they have to come to the person they're protesting against and get affirmative permission to protest.
Are you suggesting that the city council would be anti? What would they do to these people if they asked for permission?
I bet they would. I bet they would sometimes say, how many times would they have to tell a person, no, you can't protest what I'm doing to you?
No, you mean
wrong.
What do you mean, no?
Well, yeah, I'm not going to give you a permit.
No, what about my First Amendment right?
You got a First Amendment right to protest. And it doesn't say in the Constitution that you need a permit to protest.
Yeah, but I want to have some idea who would be responsible. A lot of people marching. And normally it's a group and there's a leader. We're always looking for the person.
Bruce, the only thing the government has to do is make sure the community is safe during protests. The government should never get in the way of people protesting its actions.
But what happens when the government comes in and say, well, we're going to use tear gas. We got to use tear gas. We got to lock these people up. And people don't like that.
Bruce, I'd use tear gas, rubber bullets. I'd use billy clubs. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't do it for a protest that wasn't violent. You know, a peaceful protest where people are just marching and chanting or screaming out to the top of their lungs, yelling. You know, yeah, I don't care. I won't say I don't care, but they have the constitutional right to do it. But when they're attacking people, attacking law enforcement,
but that's all we've had.
Windows.
But Fred, that's all we've been having. That's all we've been having.
Running around with guns.
That's all we've been having. Violent protesting.
No, not all of our protests, Bruce.
Challenging the police department.
Bruce, a lot of our protests have been peaceful, but we've had some violent
ones. A lot of them, you said?
We've had some. I had one go by my house about 2 weeks ago.
No, not by your house. I'm talking about downtown. That's,
okay, downtown.
It's kind of like a focus. That's a focus area.
Well, yeah. We've had very few non-violent ones in downtown Portland. That's because we've allowed it. But we should stop allowing it.
How do we do that? How do we stop?
We start arresting people.
We're doing that.
Now, hold it. Our county DA starts prosecuting people, and the city of Portland goes after civil judgments for people who are convicted of crimes during a protest. I'm not talking about convicted of trespassing. I wouldn't say go after civil judgment for people who are convicted of trespassing. But somebody who's convicted of menacing, a misdemeanor, or felony assault, destruction of property, stuff like that, oh, God, yeah. They need to pay some money, big money.
But we're still not stopping it. It's happening every night.
It would eventually stop once we start getting money out of these people. Oh yeah, and I would make sure we collect too. I don't care. They'd have to leave the country and never come back. If I was mayor of Portland and they pulled this crap, by the time I got done with them, their mothers would be apologizing for not having the abortion. Son, daughter, if I'd only aborted you before you were born, you would have never grown up to be the sad sack of crap you are, to go into downtown Portland and be as violent and destructive as you've been. Yeah, those words would be said.
Gee whiz, man. You'd be looking at, well, like I said, that's part of a solution piece. Well, hey, that's what it's all about.
Bruce,
I
you
guess.
got to come down hard on hard
Okay.
people.
All right.
Bruce,
That's
think
one.
about
But
it.
like I said,
Getting on planes, flying to Oregon, flying to Portland to destroy Portland.
Yep.
Think about it.
We're national news. We're national
Most of
news
these
right now.
people who are doing these crimes, these violent crimes, destroying our jobs, breaking into our businesses, threatening our homeowners and stuff, they're not from Portland. They're not from here. They're from elsewhere. And a lot of the money it takes to be able to afford it, to not have a job to go to fly or drive here and get here. Yeah,
that's why I would like to go back to that one point about the permit project. Just give me a moment here, and I'm thinking that these national organizations, you know what I mean? They have these art groups, if you will. Why couldn't we not? Why could we not have them file for a permit, and make the announcement, the whole right now, and at the same time bonded? They would be bonded. They would be responsible, even though we know people are going to be
good idea. I just don't know how you can do that constitutionally. If I'm mad at my government and I want to walk out downtown and stand in front of City Hall and shake my fist and scream and shout, I have the right to do that.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact there's a national organization. They've got a specific definition. Wait a minute. Just hear me out. They've got a specific focus. They're spelled out, bang, bang, bang. Now I'm talking. That's the end of these. I'm talking to aspect of it. Now they've got money. They've got money backers, if you will, and then so if they've got the money and they've got the focus aspect of it, so as you say, the insurance company would cover it, right? They would have to cover it.
The insurance company may not cover it. And the thing is, Bruce, you're still missing my point. We can't get to a point in this country where we're telling Americans, you got to go to your government to get permission to protest what your government allows or does.
Look, I hear you. That's what we have now. The key is that nothing's stopping all of the other violence and all of the breakups and this.
The violence would stop if the city and the county came down hard on the bad actors. If they came down hard on those guys, they would stay home. The violent ones would. We don't need to do anything toward people who peacefully protest or peacefully disrupt. And when I say peacefully disrupt, I'm talking about people who stand on the street or chain themselves to trees. That's not hurting anybody. I'm talking about the people we need to go after, the guys going down there with Molotov cocktails and rocks and
weapons
and other weapons and are attacking people, breaking stuff, attacking our monuments. Come on. These people, our city, should go through them like a hot knife through butter. We should have a 30-year commitment of messing with their lives.
Okay, but we're not doing that now. You agree with me?
Oh, no, we're not. We should. And if we did, you know what we would do if we did? We would probably encourage more fruitful change because more people would be involved. I guarantee you the amount of people who would be involved in protesting would probably be larger, right? And the focus of what these protesters are protesting on, the focus would be greater if we didn't have this violent, disruptive element to it.
Well, we're agreeing. I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
Now let's go. Let's focus in who should be responsible. I mean, we do have elected officials, and the person who sits in the chair seat, as you know, is Mayor Wheeler, right? You got me? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that a bit.
Well, the mayor ultimately, only because of perception, as you know, in the city of Portland, the mayor is roughly equal to the city commissioners. So I look at it, the whole city council. They all have a responsibility to stand up against violence, period. So does our DA. Our DA should be a pit bull against violent people. I've always felt that way.
So again, go back to city council or the DA or whatever. Yeah. Who would be the chair of that particular committee?
Well, who would be the chair of the committee?
I mean, the lead. Should not the mayor? Isn't that the mayor's call?
Well, the mayor and the city council is their city. They got to do everything. They've got a solemn responsibility to protect the people of Portland. Okay. From all threats, foreign and domestic, just like the president. I mean, they don't have a Navy or Army or Marines, but I mean, inside the city limits of Portland, they're to do everything they can to protect the citizens of Portland from harm.
Okay.
And if that means breaking some heads, destroying some lives, you know what I mean? So be it.
Okay.
So be it. But, they need to protect people as well. And what I'm saying is the people who are protesting and what people are protesting deserves to be protected. And they're not doing it.
Well, let's think about the city again. Getting right back to those individuals who are. You got a mayor and 4 city commissioners, and the mayor basically is the so-called CO of the chief of police, and then there's another side of police, and that is the union rep, as far as the police association, and in many ways, and then the idea is that the mayor also is the police commissioner, right? Besides being the mayor, besides being responsible for the chief of police and whatever, I mean, that's a pretty heavy call aspect of it. And then you ask yourself the question, what kind of background does he have in order to be able to articulate that and be respectful?
Well, he's never been in the military. He's really never ran anything close to this before. Neither has any of the other city commissioners. I don't want to get into the point where we say the only people who can be a city commissioner are people who've got a military background and yada, yada, yada. But look, it doesn't matter who's in charge of the police. They have to have a clear vision. There has to be an understanding of what conduct is expected of them today. And there has to be an understanding where the department, the bureau is going, what they are trying to achieve, and how what they're doing today is going to achieve it. And you can't do that necessarily fully by a committee. There's no kumbaya moments in most leadership. And I don't say there's none, there's very few. We got a lot of people who
when I say committee to city council,
that's still city committee. It doesn't matter. I mean, the city commissioners, each one runs their own bureaus. You know what I mean? They don't run it by committee, they run their own bureaus. And whoever's running the police department needs to run the police department. This is what I expect. You know what I mean? And yeah, but
it's not working right now. What's up?
Because we got a bunch of people who are just trying to run by committee and trying to make friends with everybody. You know what I mean? You can't do that with something like the police or fire, any public safety. There has to be a clear understanding of what's expected of you. And, when you're working in that organization, there has to be a clear understanding what the place is today and where they're going tomorrow. And they don't have that today. They don't. So whoever runs the police department, whether it's Ted Wheeler or whoever, they have to be able to lead in that manner, whatever way they do it. I don't want to get into styles of leadership. I'm just talking about things they got to accomplish.
Well, obviously there's some issues right now because this particular mayor he's been in there 4 years already, and he's got reelected and had a runoff pretty. Didn't necessarily get over 51. He didn't necessarily get over 51% of the vote, even in the so-called rerun. But the bottom line is that there's a new sheriff in town. The people are asking for a recall of this mayor, and they're organized. You got to respect it. I mean, people are just, and that's their right. That's their right.
Recalls have a very poor history in the city of Portland and the state of Oregon. Time will tell. Right. But I also ask people this. When you recall somebody, who you're going to replace them with? If Sarah had won, we'd be in a worse state of affairs. We'd have half the cops that we've got today. You know what I mean? It would be awesome to be a sex offender in Portland because you don't have to worry about the cops coming. You get my meaning? We'd have every sex offender and every serial killer calling Portland home because there's nothing going to stop them. We don't even have enough cops right now to handle processing today, right? The evidence they get from new sex offense cases, let alone the murder cases. Get what I mean? We are so messed up right now. So no, I don't know who's going to replace them. Usually when there's a successful recall, there's an understanding of somebody waiting in the wings. I have no idea who that could be. You know what I mean? If their name is Sarah or something like that from the last election, yeah, he's definitely not going to get recalled.
What about from the Senate? Like I said, there's a divide now. For a fact there's a divide. You got the police association and then you got the city council aspect of it. Okay, you got me? Well, what if all of a sudden we could just go on and assign that responsibility to the police association, throwing it out?
Well, you have to change the charter to do that, Bruce.
Do I?
But no, you can't do that. And you can't. No, you can't do.
Well, it's
that.
not about. No, I'm not thinking about the can't part. I'm just saying people are concerned about their public safety and the issues that we're having in
Bruce,
in the
unfortunately,
city.
we're stuck with what we got. What we got to do right now is work with what we've got for now, and in 2 years, assess what city commissioners are up for election. I think Dan's up for a re-election, and Joanne is. We got to assess if they're doing a good job for us, and whether or not we need to go another direction, and we need to take these races very seriously. And then in 4 years, we got 3 more people up for election, including the mayor. We need to do the same thing. And in the meantime, we need to work as aggressively as we can with what we got. We do.
Okay. But we need leadership. I mean, but my point is that those
Leadership
entities are
starts
supposed
at
to
home.
be, the person who's responsible for that issue right now is the city council. And then the chairperson of that particular city council happens to be the mayor. Okay, you got me? Because that's it. And he's police commissioner. He's also the CEO, if you will, of the chief of police. He appoints the chief of police.
Yeah.
I mean, you got me? So my point is that, so that's all, as you say, that's all we got. But then at the same time, we got a police association that are looking for some sort of hey, who is the CO?
Bruce,
who calls the shot?
Mayor Wheeler, and the police department's performance goes up and down based on the quality of his leadership.
Well, do you think that he's done his job?
I feel Ted could have done a lot better, but they're still not too late.
Yeah, but we had 4 years already.
Well,
what are you going to do now?
Right now, Bruce. I mean, Bruce, what is the most effective thing to do? We can sit around here and beat this guy up for things. I'm not. I'm just saying.
I'm not interested about beating him up. My point is that people are concerned about public safety in this city.
Instead of a recall, we need to be focused on how we're going to replace these 200 cops that have left the Portland Police over the last year or so. How are we going to replace them? How are we going to replace them?
I think there's a way of doing it.
How are we going to hire 200 more than that? Well, we need about 400 new cops in the Portland Police Department. How are we going to get there?
Well, you need a recruiter. Got me? And you need a recruiter, someone that would show that, in fact, they understand a little bit what needs to be done. And if you get a good, solid person, if you will, in that slot, normally is supposed to be the mayor, and if you will, and the chief of police. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, the confidence is not there at this point in time. See what I'm saying? You got me?
Yeah, no, I hear you, Bruce. I hear you 100%. And I think we need to work with Ted to go in that direction, but I don't see how a recall is going to help us right now. I don't know if we have enough time for this darn recall right now. Yeah, we're under such dire straits.
Yeah, but Fred, you would agree. The summer is coming up right now, and the only thing I can talk to the summer is what I saw last summer.
Oh, it's going to be worse this summer, Bruce.
People do not want that. That's right. You're right. And people do not want to see that aspect of it. So my point is that I got to go along with some of the citizens that I've met in this so-called recall, because they're saying, look, it's not my job. I'm paying the taxes. I got kids. I mean, my houses are being this.
Bruce, if the summer is as bad as we think it's going to be, I think a recall is going to be very easy. But right now, it hasn't happened yet, unfortunately.
I think it's easy now.
Well, we'll see.
I'm just throwing out.
Who do you think is going to take its place?
Do what?
Who do you think is going to take its place?
Well, the idea is that I think the whole definition of the recall is to define specifically what that duty is supposed to be and the platform. In terms of
who's going to take its place?
And that person is out there.
Who?
Well, the platform.
But who?
Well, that comes right after the recall, right? I mean, it's not something that the recall basically recruits someone at the same time. And their whole idea is to get the person out, but they announce it to the public, and then really announce it to the public and identify with the public what the issues are and the kind of person we're looking for.
I don't know. A recall before September of this year, I don't see how that's going to help us. But You know, people want to do it as their constitutional right.
Well, you know,
Go for it.
and I'm just throwing something out. Not that I'm saying absolutely, but when you said something about it maybe qualified and whatever, I mean, I look at all due respect. I look at Sheriff Reese right now. Reese at one point in time used to be the chief of police, if you will.
Yeah,
And
Reese is
no,
a
listen,
nice guy,
no,
but I
no,
don't
listen what
think he's,
no, listen what I'm
mayor
saying.
material.
But Potter was at that job at one point
Oh,
in time.
Potter sucked.
But my point is that these guys had access, if you will, to police
Potter's
work.
one of the reasons why we're at where we're at. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh my God. Potter's one of the reasons we haven't had a mayor that's been effective since Vera Katz walked out of City Hall. And that started with Potter. He started us on this bad path of feel good, do good, ooh, yuck, fake leadership.
Didn't we have a lot of protesting during his tenure?
We had some,
so.
and he didn't handle it right. And
yeah, but he didn't have.
He's
But
the one that led us down this trail. I mean, God, no.
How did he lead us down the trail?
Oh my God, his leadership was horrible. Horrible.
How did he lead us down the trail?
Well, one, he got rid of all the efforts the mayor had been doing before him to end gang violence in Portland. He just effectively stopped all that crap.
And, who was the mayor before? That was
Vera Katz. Vera Katz.
Okay.
So we got a lot of gangs crawling around in Portland, feeling bold because of his good handiwork. And then there's a way that he organized the city, getting rid of, bringing that darn fake, that bureau to help minorities get more access to the government. Man, we've had so many lawsuits out of that thing. I think it's just been a train wreck. If we didn't have so many racist white people in journalism, they would have written more stories about that damn thing.
What about community policing when he was there? You think he did?
Community policing was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Was a joke. An absolute joke. I mean, come on. I mean, people today, guy's still alive. We're not even talking today about any successes that he did. Man, 100 years from now, people are going to look back at the Tom Potter period as the moment we stepped off the ledge. No, we need something better. We need something better. We need something better than Potter.
I said,
we need something better than.
I was mentioning people who were former police officers that ran for office. Okay.
Now, every time we've had a police officer in city council, it has ended badly for the city of Portland. Every time. We have never had a cop serve on city council and it work out great. It ain't happening.
What about Reese? I mean, Reese is a sheriff right now. He was a chief. He's born and raised here.
Say never, but I will say this. No, I don't see it. I don't see Reese sitting on city council as mayor or even a city commissioner. Come on. Are you kidding me? A cop? No. It has failed every single time in Portland.
Failed. But I'm still looking at the
until Chloe, the worst city commissioner we ever had was Bob Koch, and he was a cop. People don't even like mentioning his name. You know what I mean? It's like he's still alive. If the man dropped dead in downtown city, right in front of City Hall, nobody even know who he was. They think he was just a bum. The man was a train wreck.
But he ran for office.
And he won. And he screwed up like Tom Potter did. I tell everybody, go back through all the history of all the city commissioners and mayors in Portland, right? I take that back. Terry Shrunk. But Terry Shrunk was a thug. Terry Shrunk was a criminal. So you don't really count him. He was both a cop and a criminal. But what I'm getting to is Terry Shrunk is probably the only time we have had a police officer in elective office in Portland on city council, and it worked. Other than Terry Shrunk, it has failed every single time in glorious fashion.
Yeah, but then you mentioned Vera Katz, right? You mentioned Vera, and you thought she was a great police commissioner. Is that what you're saying?
She was an awesome police commissioner.
Okay, why? Why was she such
leadership? She was leadership. What she wanted.
Okay.
And a lot of the progressive stuff that we're seeing today was started by her. The only thing she did wrong was hire Chief Moose to be the first black police chief. There was other better candidates. She chose him. But
Okay.
she was trying. I'll always give Vera an A for damn effort.
Okay. Well, I
And
tell you what.
and
Say
she was the boss. And look,
if you
Vera
made
was
that
the
statement,
boss.
if you made that particular statement, I'm gonna really give you a challenge this time around. What about Joanne Hardesty? Wait a minute. Now she was working for the Ministerial Alliance, and she was focusing on police. She was always having meetings with these folks and whatever, and she made sure the meetings were there. I mean, she spent quite a bit of time in that arena aspect of it, and she's a pretty straight, hard-nosed kind of a person. You know, what you see is what you get from her, and in all due respect, Vera was kind of like in that same mindset, pretty hard-nosed. I mean, you either like or dislike or whatever. But the bottom line is that I see. I'm just saying to you that you've got
You know what,
Joanne
Bruce?
Hardesty. Okay, what about Joanne Hardesty?
Bruce,
I mean,
I do not feel
people
Joanne
like her,
Hardesty can do better than what's his name, Ted Wheeler as as police commissioner.
but don't you believe that she has background? She had some background in police.
She is not going to motivate people to work in law enforcement in Portland. In fact, we're going to lose a lot of good people. They don't trust her, and for good reason.
Okay, why don't they trust her?
Because of her past attitude and the past decisions she's made,
On
and
what?
how she's treated cops, and how she looks at issues. Look,
Okay,
I mean,
no, I'm just throwing it on the table. You know,
but look, she's a good city commissioner so far, and I don't know. I shouldn't say she'll do worse than Ted, but she's not going to do better than Ted. She's not. She's not going to do better than Ted.
But my point, I guess the point, I'm going to throw this out there. We're having this discussion right now.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that, you know, the issue from all due respect from the black community is the whole issue of profiling and how they deal with blacks and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's an issue.
I don't know who you're talking to in the black community, but most of the people who even go up to these meetings that are black, these police department meetings, half of them got gang members in their families. I don't listen to anybody who breaks bread with gang members. None. Zip. That's another reason why there's a problem with Joanne. Joanne doesn't slap around gang members enough. It's over 600 young black people killed over the last 32 years, and she will invite their parents and grandparents to a meeting. I'm not interested in talking to the parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, children of any gang member. You understand?
Yeah, but the bottom line is that how did they become gang members? Don't you think you have to find out?
I don't care why they became gang members. Because you know what, Bruce? They're saying it was racism. Bruce, there was racism when you were a young man. Did you go out and kill black people? When my grandparents were young, there was racism then too. Did they go around and kill black people and shoot up our neighborhoods and destroy the black community? No. Nobody who is kind to members and their families.
But wouldn't you agree that
for public service,
but wouldn't
especially
you
with the police department?
But wouldn't you agree that some of these young people, in all due respect, for some strange reason, people are still trying to find the definition how to avert that kind of a situation to get these young people out of it.
Don't do it.
What do you mean, don't do it?
Don't be a gang member. Come on, Bruce. Come on. There is none. No excuse. Okay, Bruce, you got a beautiful wife. Is it okay for a man just to walk up to her and give her a kiss because I don't know how to handle myself? Come on, Bruce.
Well, you see, none gang members will do that when they had a few drinks. You know what I'm saying,
Bruce?
Right?
Bruce.
Right.
There is no reason to accept gang members and their families ever at all. Period. I would rather. I wouldn't rather do either. Oh my God, I would have a heart attack if I had to choose between who to shoot first, a Klansman or a gang member. Damn, I would have a heart attack trying to figure out.
Are you saying that Joanne actually basically that's what she was doing, basically relating to gang members?
When you show any type of kindness or support toward gang members, you're doing the same. It's just like doing the same thing with a Klansman or a Nazi. You can't be kind to certain people. You can't be, because people who are in positions of leadership should be protecting people from these people. You understand? And you don't protect your community being kind to these people. I'm not interested in being kind to Nazis. I'm not interested in being kind to white supremacists. You know what? I'm not interested in being kind to black gang members either. What the hell?
Okay.
I don't. Matter of fact, let's get off the subject, Bruce, because my blood pressure's getting up.
No, you're doing good. I mean, this is good.
Oh my God!
We got to get down to the meat.
I mean, I would have a lot more respect for our mayor if he put a bounty on the heads of Nazis, white supremacists, and black gang members. Nothing big, okay. $500 a head, dead or alive. I think that would be fair. God, I hate these people. What they do to our communities. Every breath they take in Portland is just like a dagger stab in all of our hearts. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for white supremacists. There's no excuse for Nazis. There's no excuse for black gang members, period. And right now we don't have a city council committed to protecting us. They want to be nice to these people. No.
Well, what about the police department? I mean,
the police have to be nice because their bosses are telling them to. I mean, if I was mayor, I would say, bring me their heads. Literally.
Okay.
Okay, and they say, well, Mayor Stewart, we're going to get sued. Well, we're going to be sued a lot.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's a start.
We'll let these people die for what they believe in. Let their grandkids talk about how happy they were that their family died for what they believed in. Let's see how far that goes. I mean, Bruce, do you understand how much problems these guys have caused us? Bruce, just in the last 32 years, over 600 black young people murdered in our streets. Think about it. Think of the billions of dollars that we've lost because of these people. It's just, I don't know who's cost us more. These white supremacists that we seem to want to, try to love away, or these black gang members we try to love away. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? History has shown us there is no loving these people. There is none. There is no way to love these people away. They are flawed humans that are flawed until they drop dead or are sitting in a prison someplace. Okay? And look at the protest. Who's doing the protest? Racist white people and black gang members. Guaranteed. You're going to find a connection. Bunch of criminals. And then a few, laissez-faire, rich white kids who ain't got nothing better to do than go around causing trouble here in Portland, Oregon. Now, Bruce.
So we're getting right back down to leadership again. Okay, so
we don't have that type of leadership yet, and we need it, Bruce.
Okay.
And Joanne, as nice as she is, and Joanne can't do it. Plus, you got to remember, this isn't Joanne's hometown. I mean, Joanne's a nice person and all. Joanne ain't got no kids. She ain't got no family living here in Oregon. You know what I mean? When Joanne has got a bunch of people she cares about, she doesn't give a damn if she screws up. If she messes up and somebody gets hurt, it's an oops. I tried my best. I really worked hard, and I thought it would work.
Okay, one of the things I want to share at this point in time is that for those of you who are just joining us, I just want to let you know that we're talking about issues here in Portland, and I've got here Fred Stewart with me. And for those of you who know him, you know him. For those of you who don't, all due respect, he's out there. He's out on the streets. He sees it every day, and he takes his time out from his own business aspect of it. And trust me, you don't get rich on this kind of a situation, taking the kind of position that he has at times. But in all due respect, the position he's had has been basically, it's like anything else. As the old saying goes, you're part of your environment, if you will, or part of your exposure. Let's put it exposure.
Bruce,
he's in real estate.
you and I watched.
All due respect, hold on for a second. Let me give one real quick. I'm just kind of giving a little quick break aspect of it, is what we've been doing. And for those of you who didn't watch the first part of the show, please do so. I know it's a little lengthy for that matter, but it's like anything else. We really need to get down to the bottom line. So I want to make sure that I'm inviting some folks on to speak their mind, who has the background from the standpoint to be able to speak their mind. Then we'll go from there.
Bruce,
okay, what's up, Fred?
You and I watched black gang members destroy the black community in Portland, Oregon. We've always been a small community. So half of the population is related to a bunch of just low-life thugs. And some of these people, they come from people who came to Oregon in the 1930s and 40s as thugs. And now their great-grandchildren are thugs because nobody is putting them in check anymore. So they destroyed the black community. Black community has gone to the four winds, which is kind of good in a way because we're one of the most integrated. Even though we got a small black community, black people live wherever they want in the state. And I'm very proud of the state for that. I was down in Medford a couple of weeks ago, and guess what? Black people down there. Not many, more than I've ever seen. Seen more black people on the coast than I've ever seen. Black people in Hood River. Give me a break. You know what I mean? I mean, it's scattered black people to the four winds, and we live all over the place. And for the relatively, we have very few issues about that. White Oregon won't allow it. They won't allow issues about that. And we're very proud of my state because of that. But we still got this problem with white supremacists, white supremacists and Nazis and a bunch of others who are just negative, who are doing everything they can to take this opportunity of people trying to force positive social change and move the agenda to something that they can't accept. That's why I tell people you can't be nice to black gang members. There's nothing they want I want to hear about. I just want to hear about them suffering or not, or living someplace else. You know what I mean? Same thing with Nazis and white supremacy. You can't be nice to these people. Can't invite them to the party, to the room. Can't want to negotiate with them. Should be a grizzly bear hunt. All these people. What you got to do is protect people in the city of Portland who are trying to do positive change. And that goes down to our protest. We got all these people. Gosh, man, God bless them. Going down there, doing what they can to show the world they want change. They want a better life for everyone. And they've been gassed because of these thugs. They've been hit with rubber bullets because of these thugs. Oh my God! Thank God they still want to do something. They haven't given up.
Okay, right. Well, you know, we've been spending quite a bit of time on trying to talk to solutions that we're dealing with because the summer is just right around the corner, buddy. I mean, and I think communication is going to be key. And so I'm saying this to you, but I'm also saying this to the viewing audience. You got to sit around the table, talk about these issues because these are very serious issues. And like I said, we do have a city council. We have a mayor in this city. We have a DA and whatever. You may want to write them letters or whatever, but that's your option. That's your right. Okay, you've got rights. And I will continue to be doing something here on the Oregon Voters Digest and having people on that will maybe get the discussion going with it. It's a very, very important piece. And so with that, Fred, I want to thank you for being on.
Thank you for your time, Bruce.
This has been great, man. It's been fantastic. Just hang in there, and I will be calling you back. Okay? All right?
Anytime, Bruce.
Sounds great. Okay. Folks, take care, and do have a good day. And tell your friends and others to basically look at this. Share this show with others. Get the discussion, okay, with you. So take care. I'll see you next week. Again, I'm Bruce Broussard, Oregon Voter Digest. Thank you.
Talk to you later, Bruce.
Thank you.